Hello everyone, Ponzi here. Today I'm making a bunker out of this cheap nerf gun I picked up at Home Bargains. It's a cheap store in the UK. Fortunately this was screwed together rather than glued together, which made dismantling a lot easier. So just using the main bits of the gun here, along with some of the handle and a bit of the piston, which is sort of applies the pressure to the nerf guns itself in the middle. I mean, I don't know if it's a piston, I'm just calling it that. Super gluing it all in on this foam piece, and not too worried about it because most of this will be covered up with filler later anyway. I cut away the foam near the entrance because I wanted to have a natural formed ramp that goes in towards the entrance. I then glued this to another piece of foam to add an extra layer. After it had all dried, super glue, fortunately it didn't take too long, I just start slapping filler all over the place. I'm not too bothered about if it's messy because in my mind that a lot of the rocks and soil or earth, whatever, is gone on top of the bunker over the years. This is a old bunker that's been around for a really long time, or an outpost. I'm sticking on some old bits of bark here from an old tree that fell over near my house. You can use actual rocks for this, whatever you've got around. After sticking all that and all the filler dried, I found this nice Aquila in my bits box. I then super glued that on, put way too much super glue, so I had to dab up quite a lot of that with the tissue. After that had all dried, I applied my gesso and Mod Podge mix. I think this is a bit stronger than Black Magic Crafts, but I haven't tested it yet. I'm going to do a comparison video in the future, so if you're interested in learning what gesso I used, then stay tuned. After painting the whole thing in this mix, I then eyeballed a Acadian green colour. I don't actually own Imperial Guard anymore, but I do really enjoy their sort of structures. So after painting all this green on, I then move on to the Mars-like planet itself. So I've mixed quite a dark brown here. I'm just going to start layering that all over. And then while it's still wet, apply the lighter colour to almost wet blend the two colours together. This is a similar way to how people do wet blending on miniatures. So same idea, just apply it while the two colours are wet and they'll naturally blend together. As you can see, it has quite a nice gradient of orange to a darker brown. I'm looking for a more of orange, like a Mars-like planet, so don't be too worried about getting paint in areas you didn't mean to, because if it's a sandy area it's going to be all over the place anyway. After that had all dried, this is just some cheap PVA glue scattered all over, and using some flock I made from orange paint and sawdust, I then applied a black wash all over. I would have probably opted for a brown, but I didn't have one made up. Just dabbing off the excess of the wash now. And then I applied a silver to highlight some areas of the bunker, like the Aquila and the side pieces. In hindsight, I should have probably done this and then applied the wash, but sometimes you get the order a bit mixed up, which I then rectify with a wash later on. While the silver paint was drying, I decided to dry brush the rocks with several layers of orange to a sort of yellow ochre, and I just applied that all over the entire thing. even getting some on the bunker itself to be sort of old sand and whatnot. Here I am applying another black wash to the silver to really bring out some of the details. And that's it, pretty much complete. You could add tufts here if you wanted to. I opted not to do it this time, and once you've done all this you'll be left with something that looks a bit like this. I think it turned out pretty well. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking, it really helps out the channel. Thanks for watching.